that the media uses in a sense, because like, like I said before, after the first 2 nights, they put us on the bus in front of 40 Project, Black Panthers, kidnapped us basically, and took us upstate somewhere for like 2 days. Say y'all gotta chill, man, because we don't want to see y'all get killed. No more kids get killed.
But the misconception, one of the misconceptions was that the 7 Crowns were out of control, and that was never the case.
Yeah,
the 7 Crowns were never out of. People had to. Nichols was. Young Crowns, and people had to answer to him.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they didn't do what they were supposed to do, if they broke a rule, a cardinal rule or whatever, he would dispatch some type of corporal punishment to them.
Oh, yeah, so I got on Villa. Black put me on Villa.
So let me give you for instance.
Right.
Nichols can probably tell you this better than I can. We used to have drills. And Black would blow a whistle or whatever. And you would look in the park and you would see absolutely no one.
Nobody.
Wow.
And then he would blow the whistle again. And before you knew it, there was 100, 150 people.
Yeah.
Wow.
That popped right up. Okay? And so it was combat training. We were like paramilitary.
Yeah.
There was structure. You had the president, you had the vice president, you had the supreme president. It was structure. It wasn't this willy-nilly, let's just do something. And before something was going to happen, it was discussed.
Yeah.
There was a discussion. It wasn't
a spur of the moment.
Right, extemporaneously done.
Yeah.
It was discussed, and and sometimes the discussion wasn't good because the actions, the plan wasn't good either.
I mean, because by you saying that, it was a couple of times, like I just said, I got Black had put me on bill like twice. Black or Sneaky, the one vice president, or Star, they the only one that put me on bill, but me, all little crowns, they got put on bill a couple of times because basically we had, Little Crown basically had Sutton Boulevard and Lakewood all the way back.
Right.
To Van Wyck. That was, our little clubhouse back over there on Lakewood and all that. But, Fat Cat, Sneaky, Little Joe, Oscar, all was back there. But we used to be doing a lot of shit, right? And on the avenue and all that. And somebody, it just be, I ain't gonna lie, we was young, like 13, 12, 13, 14. And somebody run back, tell Black, they up there wilding. RKO or the movies or whatever.
Oh, RKO. Did he just say the RKO?
Yes. And the Valencia.
Yes.
And then we get back, Black say, what y'all do? Or they'll send we used to call them the Big Crown. They send one of them on Lakewood. Go bring them in.
Wow.
For what?
Y'all knew it was something, right?
I that language in a long time. Bring them in.
But let me show you something. That morphed into something from teenage romping around to organized thinking.
Exactly.
Now, it might have been negative to some degree, but to another degree, there was a lot of positivity and growth in it. We had gambling spots. We'd be on 142nd and Rockaway.
Oh, yeah, fool.
Yeah, we had the Ebony Affair. This is where we were hanging out, and yes, then we went from selling marijuana, and escalated, but it gave many of us a business sense. It taught us about demographics.
Right.
Listen, even to cut the cocaine, you had to know measurements.
Yes. So exactly.
What we didn't learn in school.
That's right.
The mathematics that we learned by producing and doing things.
And that's what they call statistics.
Yeah.
You did it. You did that.
Yeah.
But listen, I want to read something to you guys. There's a publication, Guerrilla Convict. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. Where an article that was written by Seth Ferranti in 2012 depicts his version of who the Seven Crowns were, based on, and I quote, "In the early 70s, Queens had a lot of gangs," Lance said. "We were fools. We went off the chain. At one point, we were 1,500 members strong. That was way back in early 70s. We were just friends. This is how everything came together. It was one love. We unified like 77, 78. Our role models were guys on the street from the hood who sold drugs. Our childhood was like normal kids. We were wild, but we didn't carry any guns. We believed in beatdown." So is there any truth in this excerpt? If not, would you be deemed to elaborate on it?
Who said that?
Well, this is from a gentleman who wrote in a publication that he spent time in the feds. His name is Seth Ferranti. And he...
But he had a conversation with someone else.
He had a conversation with,
Lance.
It says Lance.
That would be Lance Furtado. Yeah. But
I ain't
just to put that in perspective.
Right.
Okay. Back in the 70s, Lance was basically playing basketball.
little dude. Yeah,
He was playing, and I know he was playing basketball because he was playing basketball with my brother, Stephen. His brother, his older brother, Tony Furtado, he was certainly a clown. And back in those days, Tony was always smooth and laid back and what have you. Even when he got into selling coke or whatever, it was very smooth going. Not to disparage Lance,
Right.
but a lot of even the numbers ballooned out
a little bit.
like the 1,500 people. I don't even know 1,500 people. So that's kind of now it may have seemed like 1,500 people,
Right.
But it wasn't that large. And true, some of us, I was raised in St. Albans, Queens. Okay, so a big white house on the corner, and didn't need anything. Everything was, mom and dad took care of everything, everything.
Right.
But that had an appetite.
Yeah, it wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough.
Yeah.
So many of us chose, people say you can't choose your family. Yes, you can.
Yes, you can.
You cannot choose what family you were born into.
Yeah.
Right.
But you can choose your family.
Right.
And so when we say from the sandbox,
Right.
we literally mean from the sandbox.
Right.
So if I'm walking and here's the mentality.
Right.
Of, I don't know how it is now. I'm talking about for us in Crowns. If Nichols and I were walking down the street, and there was 15 people from another gang in front of us, and they had sticks and bats and clubs and all that stuff in front of us, and it's only Nichols and I, and all we had was one toothpick. Somebody's gonna get stuck in the eye with that toothpick.
Right.
See, and that's how we came up. Lance and Todd and they came up later. They came around later.
Right.
Later. Now, I'm not going to say they were not clowns. I'm not going to say that. But they were not when it was developed and we were in the thick of things. They were too young.
So would you say it was like maybe an incorporation of wannabe trying to, or I don't know if I'm saying that right?
It's more like you caught a sardine.
Okay.
But you introduced Moby Dick.
All right, I got you. Yeah, you said that good. You said that good.
Okay. One, if I may.
Okay.
One of our comrades, one of our brothers, Lorenzo Fat Cat Nichols. a lot of people call him. He changed his name to Busy. I was locked up when they started calling him that. We have a love for him, and several months ago, it was last year, he was going to the parole board.
Okay.
And I asked a few people that are now running organizations, well-known organizations, if they would write a letter on behalf
of support
and on behalf, a letter of what they call reasonable assurance.
All right.
For Fat Cat, and people hid, and they didn't do it.
Wow.
For fear of losing either funding or prestige or what they might be perceived to be. All right, and that was a grave injustice to him. And I need to say this, and I need to say it very plainly. A lot of individuals, their claim to fame, their claim to fame is on the shoulders of Lorenzo Fat Cat Nichols. Whether it was directly or indirectly. You know, and whether they ran with Pappy or was part of Pappy Mason's crew, but Fat Cat was
the man.
Someone to reckon with.
That's right.
Even when he was younger. Now, back in the day, he used to run with a brother's name is Mandingo.
All of us.
Yeah, but Mandingo, when those two were together, was the wrecking crew, wrecking squad. He ran with everyone. But he always had a good heart. Always had a good heart, was always fair. He wasn't loud and boisterous or whatever, and he was always a thinker. And so now this man has been incarcerated in the belly of the beast, a consumer of correctional services, for 34 years. 34 years. And during that time, he's become a paralegal. He went to college. He's got straight A's in Bible institutes.
All right.
You know, straight A's. Straight A's.
All right.
He's a substance abuse specialist. Well, he was a specialist back then.
Well, just go ahead on.
but more in a clinical sense now.
Yes.
And the one thing that I admire about him is he learned to take a negative and destructive thought and to convert it into a positive and adaptive response.
Salute.
See? And so one of the things I'd like to do, if I may, is this brother, because when you say his name, it's almost like a negative connotation. But he's not who he was back then.
True.
He's a grandfather.
Wow.
He's a father and a grandfather. He's not Fat Cat anymore. He's chiseled.
Well, okay, wait a minute now. Hold on, y'all see that? we gonna.
I have pictures of him.
I know. Hold that thought, brother, because we're gonna bring on Miss Tanya right now in a few seconds. Oh man.
Let me just put his information out.
Go ahead.
For those who care. And those who want to make a difference. We need someone who has a voice. And a voice to be listened to. So his name is Lorenzo Nichols. Lorenzo Nichols. His DIN number, his identification number, is 88A 1701. 88A 1701. He's in Clinton, Dannemora Correctional Facility.
He's an APP.
I'm just going to just put this out there. P.O. Box 2001. P.O. Box 2001, Clinton Correctional Facility. You can Google it and it'll come up. What we're asking you to do, we're asking you to write letters on his behalf and to mail them directly to him. Now, you can write and say, hi, how you doing? But that's not what this clarion call is for. It's so that we can lend support to him. And we want other people who are hearing to know that no one is beyond redemption.
Right.
And that Lorenzo Nichols has is a changed man. He's a different individual. And we need individuals like him to speak to the problems